Tonight, we have the draft dispersal order shows for you for the AFC and NFC in the APFL and a couple other tidbits of information for you surrounding the FSA, and it all happens in about 20 seconds. Hey, fellow fanatics, welcome to the Fanatically Real broadcast, sponsored by Sport Management Solutions, your one-stop shop for all your athletic communication needs. In fact, I got the gear on tonight, SMS right there. Brent, I hope you're out there watching. For anybody else who might be watching, leave me a comment over here on the side so we can say, hey. So like we said at the top of the order, the focus of tonight's show is to make sure that we get the draft orders done for the dispersal drafts that are going to happen in the AFC and NFC in the APFL. Dates to still be determined for those two draft dates, but tonight, the 3 general managers on the AFC side and the 4 general managers on the NFC side are going to know where they will be drafting on the TBD dates in their respective dispersal drafts. Before we do that, though, I wanted to show, let me see if I can pull it up here for you all real quick. Get a lot of screens going on tonight, so it's going to be a crazy broadcast. So I wanted to reintroduce this graphic to everybody, and after we get done with it tonight, I'm going to post it over on Discord as well. This is your 2025 APFL opponents for anybody who is playing. The reason we are showing it again tonight is we have all of the logos updated for the new teams. We've got Cincinnati, who is now the Cincinnati Cringers. They're in the AFC North. We have the Cleveland Cerberus, also there in the AFC North. 2 new logos there as well. And then on the NFC side, we have the Minnesota Skull in the NFC North. And we also have the Philadelphia Griffins in the NFC East. Look at those, you see what they look like. So let me explain what this is for the opponents list for next year. If they are in your conference and in the same row as you, let's use my team, for example, the New York Wings there, the green airplane, I will play everybody that is also in the AFC East twice. Then I will play every team that is in the NFC South, which is on the other side of the line, on the same row as me, which is Tampa Bay, Atlanta, New Orleans, Carolina once. And then we will have our strength of schedule games, which will be the games that are directly below me on the AFC side. That'll be Cleveland, Indianapolis, and Kansas City. Those are my strength of schedule games. The 6 games that I'm playing inside my division, the 4 games that are playing outside of my conference, and the 3 strength of schedule games give me a 13-game schedule. So that I wanted to introduce to everybody, plus also to showcase the new logos a little bit. We will do a parade of teams before we start the next season, but Cincinnati with a new logo, the Cincinnati Cringers, Cleveland with a new logo, the Cleveland Cerberus, Minnesota with a new logo, Minnesota Skull, and Philadelphia with a new logo, Philadelphia Griffins down there at the bottom. And I've got the Philadelphia Griffins general manager with me tonight, but I'm going to keep him backstage for a little bit longer until we get closer to the NFC draft. I can see him down there in the bottom smiling at me right now, but we'll pull him in here shortly. So I wanted everybody to see that before we got started. So give me a moment. I'm going to pull my screen back, or my face back up here on the screen. Let me do a little magic here in the background to see if all of the stuff that I have set up for us for tonight is still viable. That way I can get us ready for the draft selection show. Let me get me up here on the big screen. Changes may be made. Cancel. Let me cancel that. Hold on. Let me upgrade us over there on that screen. Hanley, you're way over there on my 65-inch TV. Even your little picture down there in the corner is big enough for me to see you without my glasses on. So let me now do a stop share screen over there. Let me get a new shared screen. For those of you who have never seen a draft selection show, you are in for a treat tonight. Let's see if we've got everything the way we want it to go. Oh, look at that beautiful all of that prep that I did for tonight is actually working. So if you're out there tonight, make sure you leave us a comment. I'm looking for you up in the upper right-hand corner. I apologize ahead of time that the screen is going to be a little small for us to see this tonight. It's the best we can do for now. I'm working with a couple of different engineers that do this stuff on a more regular basis. Chris out there saying snake eyes, snake eyes, snake eyes. For those of you who have never seen this before, that is definitely a fan favorite. Chris, I appreciate you putting that out there like 3 separate times for each one of the screens. So you all want to know that is a new screen. That is a new screen right there, Chris, and snake eyes. Hopefully it won't happen. We've only got 7 teams to work with tonight. First, we're going to do the AFC, and then we're going to do the NFC. And I'll get my face off the screen here in just a second. That way we can upsize this screen just a little bit, and you can see what you see there a little bit better. Now that I know that works, let me see if I can pull this in, and then we'll bring it back over to that screen here in just a second. Because what I want to do is I kind of want to explain what we're going to do tonight. So the draft order selection shows, we usually use these mostly in the WRL, the Wizardry Draft League. We also do these when we have a dispersal draft, like we're having in both the AFC and the NFC this year. What this is this allows the general managers who are going to be participating in those drafts and or dispersal drafts know what order they are picking from when it is time for them to do their draft. So the way we do this is we'll start with the AFC tonight and give you a little bit of a rundown. I have the 3 logos here printed out in black and white for the AFC general managers that are going to participate in the dispersal draft. What we end up doing is we fold these up. I'm going to put them in a hat. The hat that I'm going to pull them out of tonight is the original Walter hat that we had done by Pitbull with a flat bill on it. This one is a snapback. I actually ended up gathering this from my dad's house and his belongings after he passed away. This one still has a sticker on it. That's how we know it hasn't been worn yet. And that bill is crisp. We're going to use that hat tonight since I'm wearing the Walter 25th anniversary hat on my head. We're going to fold these teams up and we're going to throw them in a hat. This is how this works. Let me pull the screen back up because I think if you have the visual, it makes a little bit more sense, and we'll blow it up full screen there. I apologize again for all of the stuff that is at the bottom of the screen. That is part of OBS and the best way for us to be able to do this draft order selection for you. I'm hoping that by the time we get ready to do the WRLs this year, sometime in July or August, that we have a better system for you. Like, again, I said, I'm working with a couple engineers to see if we can make this a little bit better. So what we ended up doing is we throw these 3 teams because it's just 3 teams for now. We're going to throw them into a hat. We're going to shake the hat up, and then we're going to pull a team out. Once we pull a team out, we roll the 4-sided dice to start off with. The reason we're rolling the 4-sided dice, which is on the left middle screen that you see there with the blue platforms. Chris says my hat still has a sticker on it and has been worn. Do you have one, Chris? Did we end up getting one over to you? You say that, but I'm wondering if you're tongue in cheek. If we got one over to you, that would be awesome. But I don't remember if we actually got one over to you or not. If you have one, get a picture for us. I know you don't show your face. Lean your head down. Get the bill to cover your face for me. Take a picture and put it out there on the Discord channel for us. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull Hanley says, where's mine? Man, you had to be around for, gosh, guys, when did we end up doing this? Jason, I see you over there on the side as well. I'll pull you in here in a little bit too. Way too big for my head, but I've worn. That's awesome. I appreciate that, man. I mean, it's a snapback. Do you have the snapback or do you have the 25th anniversary one? Either way, you know what? You do have the 25th anniversary one because you have sent us pictures while you were on vacation with that thing around. That's right. I do remember now. I just now saw your message up there saying that. Jason in backstage right now, one of the engineers is going to help me make this look better by the WRL time, right, Jay? Shake your head if I'm right. Okay, yeah, it's a very slow shake. So he looks very nervous right now. All right, so let me get back to the draft selection show. we're going to fold the 3 teams up that I've got in my hand. We're going to put them in a hat. We're going to shake the hat. We're going to pull a team out. We're going to roll the 4-sided dice, which is on the left-hand middle screen there. That 4-sided dice tells us if we're going to put that team in the 1, 2, or 3 spot. If it's a 4, we will re-roll since we only have the 3 teams on the AFC side. When we get ready to do it on the NFC side later on, the 1, 2, 3, and 4 will become a little bit more relevant because we do have 4 teams over there. If it's a 4, we will re-roll. But that first team that's out of the hat is going to end up getting put in the 1, 2, 3 spot. And then what we do is we roll the action dice. The action dice are the 2 6-sided dice that you see dead center of the screen. They give it as craps. You're going to get a total somewhere between 2 and 12. That craps total is going to make something happen to those teams that are on the board. We're not doing a final roll table for this, but what we are going to do is we will do our final roll. But if it's one of those things like 7 or 5 that says roll until a position is open, we will re-roll because we want the last roll that we have for the night to actually do something for the board. And that'll be for both the AFC and the NFC side. So since I'm talking about how we're going to fold these teams up and put them in a hat, let's pull myself back up on screen so we can do that. So we have the New England Rebels, we have the Cincinnati Cringers, and we have the Cleveland Cerberus. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fold these 3 teams up. I'm going to fold them in fourths. I'm going to throw them in the hat. Then we're going to shake the hat. We're going to pull the first team out. We're going to put them in the board in the 1, 2, or 3 spot based on the 4-sided die. And from there, then we roll the action dice. And then the action dice tells us what we need to do until we have all 3 of our teams in some sort of draft order. We want the last roll to be snake eyes. That's what Chris says. No, I feel like we don't. But I will say this, at least with only 3 teams on there, if we do a snake eyes, it won't be so bad. But like I said earlier on Discord, I went back and rewatched the draft dispersal order show from last year when we did it for the AFC side for the 3 teams. And we got down to that final roll, and the 3 teams were on the board, and one of them was pull a team from the board. And we literally worked probably another 20 minutes to get that draft order done. So it's pretty wild, even with 3 teams, how crazy this can get. So here we go. We got the original Walter hat, flat bill, pit bull sticker still on it. I'm going to shake the dickens out of this thing, and then we're going to pull a team out. And the first team that we are going to put on the board is the New England Rebels. So what you can't see yet on the board, and I'm going to pull it up right now, is the graphics for the New England Rebels. And I am hoping that you all can see this in a pretty decent size. I'm going to pull Jason in here in just a second. See the New England Rebels up in the top corner. Jay, let me get my headphones on. Let me pull you in. Hanley, sit tight for me, my friend. We'll pull you in on the NFC side. Jay, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good.
Good. Hey, as you're watching this show, I need your engineering brain to figure out how we're going to make this better for WRL time. Got it? Yeah. All right. So we have the New England Rebels here, and I've got the 2 screens with the dice, left side 4-sided dice, right side the 2 6-sided dice to get our craps. We're going to roll the 4-sided dice. You're going to see it pop there and move around on the screen. How well can you see that? Can you see it okay?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. So the way that a 4-sided dice works, and
I don't know if you can tell. Try to turn this on.
What's up now? Are you watching it on the big screen? Okay.
Yeah.
It helps when you get it on the big screen, right? I appreciate it. GP says, greatest draft ever. I think Gerard might be a little drunk. That's okay. So for you old heads out there that played Dungeons and Dragons for a really long time, you remember the 4-sided dice. The number that you were looking for was in the bottom center. If you can see where my mouse is pointed right now. But the new age Dungeons and Dragons people will know that the number is at the top and at the point. So in this case, we got a 3. So that means the New England Rebels are going to move into the number 3 spot to start off with. And I need to lock the other 2 teams so I can move the New England freely. Let's do that. Or maybe the New England doesn't want to go anywhere. I don't know what's up with that. There we go, Mr. New England.
There you go.
All right, there we go. Thanks, Shay. All right, so we have the New England Rebels in the number 3 spot. All right, so what we do from here is we roll the 2 12-sided dice that are in the middle of the screen. Jay, I'm going to cut us both out everybody should still be able to hear our voices, but I want to get everybody to get a little bit better view of the screen, okay?
Oh yeah, my ugly mug should not be on there.
There you go. Hopefully everybody can see that a little bit better now. So we have the New England Rebels in the number 3 spot. And what we're about to do is we're going to roll the 2 6-sided dice in the middle of the screen, and we're going to get some action that happens. These totals is 11, which means we're going to lock a team on the board. All right. Locking a team on the board only happens especially since we only have one team on the board right now, is if we roll a 4-sided dice and we have another 3, then New England will be locked in that spot, and that will be where they draft from when they do the dispersal draft. If we have a 1, 2, or 4, then we just roll action dice again. We are getting a number 1, so nothing happens on the board, so we will roll action dice again. Let's see. I'm going to go back up here and see greatest draft ever. G says he's not drunk. I'm referring to ours you did last year. Oh, the no shirt draft. Why would you even bring that up? So for those of you that got to watch the AFC dispersal draft last year, the commissioner, myself, and all 3 of the general managers that were involved in that took our shirts off last year. It was definitely not a sight that anybody should see. It is not a tradition that we're going to keep alive in 2025. Everybody keep your clothes on, especially you, Jay. Yeah, Chris says he would have 100% forgot about the no draft if he didn't go back and watch it today. Yeah, I'm trying to erase it from my memory, but I'm pretty sure now that I'm talking about it, if anybody's paying attention to Discord, Matt Furby is probably taking the still that he has of us all shirtless that night and posting it in Discord right now. All right, so now that we know that New England is not moving, we're going to roll the action dice again and see if it does anything to the board. We got a number 7, which means we're going to roll until an open position is filled. So we have to pull a team out before we can do that. There are only 2 teams left in hat. What does that mean? So it says we roll the dice until an open position is filled. We're going to roll until we get a 1 or a 2, and that means the current team that's coming out of the hat is Cincinnati Cringers. For those of you that are old heads, we're going to say that a couple times tonight, like Jason and I are. We remember the He-Man cartoon that had Prince Adam and Cringer, and then He-Man and Battle Cat to it. Paul wanted this to be his logo. I struggled to get the colors right on this logo. And you know what, Jay? I'm going to bring us back in because nobody's going to believe that that's actually what I'm holding in my hand if I don't. So hopefully you all can see that. I've got the color changed Cringer, the tiger from He-Man here. We were able to, I said color change when it's still in black and white. Y'all can't tell. I promise you that it's orange and black in the actual color version of this. But it took me a while to figure out how to do this. I'm just glad that we were able to do it. So go ahead, Jay.
What's up? The logo be right?
So the logo is right. It is orange and black. If you didn't get a chance to see it at the beginning of the show, it's there. I was able to change the APFL opponents logos to the up-to-date logos and got that in there. So let's roll to see if Cincinnati is going to go into 1 or 2 slot. 3 is already taken. And what it says in the rules is that we will roll until an open position is filled. So we keep rolling until we get a 1 or a 2. Currently, Cincinnati is going to go into the number 2 spot. So we will unlock them. We will get them into the number 2 spot. It means only Cleveland is left in the hat right now, but that doesn't mean anything with the way these action dice go. So we're going to roll them and see what happens. 6 means that we're going to swap teams' positions with 2d4. Going to be a little weird when we do this. So we're going to put 2 4-sided dice up there. What this looks like is the first position and the second position will swap. In this case, because it's only a 2-team swap, it won't matter. If it is a 2 and a 3, it will swap. If it's a 2 and a 1, the second place team goes, or the number 2 place team goes up to 1. If it's a 3 and 1, 3 will go up to 1. If a 4 is involved in this at all, we will just go to the action dice. So let's see if we get a 1, 2, or a 3 in these 2.
Is anybody else getting as confused as I am?
You'll see it in just a second. Okay, so you see the 2 dice on the board, right? You see a 2 and a 1. That means that there's no team in number 1 spot, but there is a team in the number 2 spot. So that means Cincinnati moves up to the number 1 spot. So basically all you're doing is swapping based on the rolls that are on the dice. So Cincinnati is now in the number 1 spot.
I also have another question.
Okay, talk to me, Jay.
Can you breathe?
I breathe. I'm going to drink right now while you're talking.
You are talking so fast.
I'm on that good stuff right now.
I guess.
Let's re-roll some action dice. Action dice says 5, which means we're going to roll until a position is filled. This is going to be pretty quick tonight. So we only have one spot left, and we only have one team left, and that's Cleveland. Let me turn that around so I got it up right. Cerberus, great logo. We're going to put Cleveland on the board in the number 2 spot. So that means we only have one roll left, and that is the final roll. Again, like we said, we did not put a list together for the final roll for only 3 teams. So if we roll a number in the 2 6-sided dice that doesn't do anything, like I said, a number 5 or a number 7 that says we just put teams on the board, or we lock a team on the board, those will not count. So a 5, a 7, and 11 will not count this. We have to have something happen, like clearing the board with a 2, pull a team from the board with a 3, move teams up and down with a 4. 6, we're going to swap positions. 8, we're going to swap positions. 9, 10, swapping positions, and then 12, we flip the whole board. So those are the totals that we can come up with that will still do something to this board. It is not final until the final roll. We're going to roll it right now and see what we get. We got a 6, which means we're going to swap teams' positions with a 2d4. And because if a 4 is involved in this, we're just going to re-roll the action dice if it is involved in this. If it is not, it is a 4 and a 2, so we're going to go to the action dice. We have a 7, which means roll until an open position is filled. Nothing's happening. Something has to happen to this board, so we're going to re-roll again. We have a 2, which means we are clearing the board. Snake eyes for you all. That's what you were looking for. Oh, isn't that great? I'm so excited. So New England's coming off the board. Cleveland's
Snake eyes, everybody drink.
Yeah, I'm already there. Chris, I'm sure, is going to be super happy. Hanley already said Snake Eyes sitting there in the background. Everybody, there you go. Snake Eyes has happened. So for everybody to see, even though we might be little screen there is, let me make sure I fold this right. There is Cleveland going back into the hat. There is Cincinnati going back into the hat. And there is New England going back into the hat. And the good thing is we're only a couple minutes into the show. When we do this, Chris, I don't even know if I can post that on the screen or not. Chris is happy that we got Snake Eyes. When we did the Delta Dispersal Draft years ago, when we were doing individual dynasty leagues, and we called it the defunct dynasty leagues, we got to the Delta Draft. The very last roll of that draft was after we had gotten all 12 teams placed. Chris says I was 600 characters over. It must have given you a warning. When we got to that final roll in the Delta Draft, I said just before I rolled it, God, I hope this isn't a Snake Eyes, and it was. And my great video editor, Brandon, went out there and edited it. If you ever get a chance, go out on the YouTube channel under Fantasy Sports Alliance. Look for the Delta Draft. I couldn't tell you exactly how far we were into that draft. I want to feel like we were 45 minutes in when we got the Snake Eyes. Brandon was great. He edited the old Bugs Bunny cartoon with, was it Yosemite Sam, I think was his name, bouncing down the staircase, cussing all the way down, because that's how I felt that night whenever we did that. So let me reset the 4-sided dice here just down to 1, because when we pulled the team out of the hat, that team is going to go up onto the board into either the 1, 2, or 3 spot. Since we're starting this whole thing over. All right, we're pulling New England Rebels out just like we started whenever we did this from the get-go. Rebels are going to go into the 2 spot, so at least they get to go into a different spot this time. Let me pull Cincinnati and Cleveland off the board. Let me move the Rebels into the number 2 spot, and then let's roll some action dice. Action dice.
Who are some of the players available in this dispersal draft?
I'd have to pull it up to show you exactly. On the Cincinnati, God, I wish I could tell. I think if I had to pick one name, that's probably the biggest name. I'm pretty sure Joe Burrow is involved in this dispersal draft. I think he's currently under Cincinnati, not just in the NFL, but I think also in the APFL. And I think he's probably the biggest name that's out there right now. All right, so there is a 3-team swap with a 3D4. This is going to be a little bit weird. The way this works is the dice simulator that we use puts these things not in order that you see them on the board, but in first, second, and third on a top half of the screen that only I can see right now. The way that we normally do this is the team that's in, or the number that's in the first position moves to the second moves to the third, and then the third moves to the first. In this case, since there's only one team on the board, if there is a 2 involved in this, whatever the position is after that, 2 will go to that spot. Gerard says Joe Mixon is the biggest name in the dispersal draft. If you guys are out there and you want to go through it for me and just give me like maybe the top 2 or 3, and I'll show it up here on the screen as you guys go through it, I would appreciate it. That'd be awesome. All right, so we've got 3D4 up there. Let's roll it and see what happens. On my screen, I have 2, 3, 3. So that means since we have a 2 involved in it, New England will move down to the number 3 spot, which is exactly where they were whenever we started this in the last round as they came out of the hat the first time. So let's roll some action dice. Action dice say 6, which means we're going to swap 2 teams' positions. I'm going to put 2D4 up there, and if there is a 3 involved in this, they will move. If not, we will roll action dice again. It's 3 and 3. We can't have that happen, so we're going to roll action dice again.
So it stays in place.
Stays right in place. So we got a 10, which is another D3 swap. And now New England's in the 3rd spot. So let's see what happens this time around. We have a 1, 3, 1. So 1 moves to 3. There is nobody in 1, but 3 moves to 1. So New England, the only team on the board, has seen all 3 spots already the second time around. So they are in the number 1 spot at the moment. Let's roll some action dice. Action dice say 7. So best case scenario right now, let me get my 1D4 up. We're going to pull a team out of the hat. And 7 says that we will roll until an open position is filled. In this case, only 2 and 3 are left. So let's see who comes out of the hat this time. Cleveland comes out of the hat this time. Cleveland is going to go into the 2 or 3 spot. 4 does not count. 2 does count, though. So Cleveland will be going into the 2nd spot. Now, for those of you who might be hoping for Snake Eyes again, during the AFC dispersal, it won't happen. We put together a thing a couple years ago after I think we ended up having 2 Snake Eyes in one of our draft order shows that after you get 1 Snake Eyes, if you roll a 2 again, it's a 3-team swap. And you can kind of see that on the notes on the action dice on the right-hand side there. All right, so we've got New England and Cleveland on the board. Let's roll number 7. Only team left in the hat is Cincinnati. Cincinnati's going to go into the number 3 spot now. And then we'll do the same as we did a couple minutes ago. We will roll the action dice one more time. Again, something has to happen to the board. They're not going to stay in the 1, 2, 3 order right now. Let's see what the action dice tell us. Action dice say 10, which means we're going to do a 3-team swap. As long as there's not a 4 involved in this, we will go with what we've got. If there is a 4, we will re-roll the action dice. Here are your 3D4s. We've got 1, 3, 3 because there's a duplicate in there that we can't have that either. So we are going to re-roll the action dice. Action dice say 9. It means we're going to swap just 2 teams. 2 teams with 2D4, just 2. If there's a 4 involved in this, we will re-roll the action dice again.
Of course.
Somebody might be changing here. 1 and 3 are swapping. So just like that, Cincinnati, who was the number 3 pick, moves up to the number 1 spot. New England moves down to the number 3 spot. There is your draft order for the AFC Dispersal Draft. Date still to be determined. Waiting on the general managers to get with me to let me know when we can do it.
I think that was original before the Snake Eyes.
Was it the exact same one before the Snake Eyes? So all the extra drama for nothing. G says, here are your big names that are in there. Rodgers, Hubbard, Jones, Tua, Judy, Keenan Allen, Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Swift, Zach Ertz, T. Higgins, Derek Carr. I think those are pretty good. Kristen said that you did, Jason. He said it was the order. He said all of that for nothing. and it makes me feel better for you. Oh, thanks, Chris. Appreciate you.
So does Aaron Rodgers go to Minnesota this offseason?
Oh Lord, you know what? If he retires, I wouldn't care. I would actually be happier if he retired and just got out of the league. To be honest with you. All right, so our draft order, I'm going to put them on my papers here, but hey, Chris, can you do me a favor like you always do? Can you end up taking a screenshot of that and sending it over into either the APFL channels or the AFC channels for me? And I won't come off of this screen until I know that you've done that, or somebody, Hanley or Jason, if you guys could do it as well, since you guys are out there.
I'm a little busy.
Yeah, you're a little busy. Lord, what are you doing? I don't want to know.
I'm on here with you. I'm on my phone.
Okay. There you go. Chris, thank you. Appreciate it. Chris says he's done. All right. So all of you are going to get to see the magic of the OBS. We're going to take all of the AFC teams off. We are going to put the NFC teams up now. We now have Carolina, the LA Bighorns, the Minnesota Skull, and the Philadelphia Griffins all coming up on the screen. Give me a second because I'm going to move these teams down to the number 8 spot, just like we did with the AFC. We're going to hide them so nobody can see them. Nobody but me. And then here's the magic that is OBS. This is the NFC dispersal draft. That's how we do it. We switch colors real quick, and now we got blue for the NFC. G says no shirts. G, you can take your shirt off if you want, but the rest of us are going to keep them on. And I hope that Mr. Hanley keeps his on because that jersey is nice, my friend. How are you? You shouldn't be muted. If you get yourself muted, get yourself off of mute.
Here.
There we go. There. Love that jersey, man.
I had to show why the Griffins tie in with the because I have the Philadelphia franchise. I had to show why I needed the Griffin. It's half lion and half eagle. It covers both.
Half lion and half eagle. It covers both. It turns out to be a great logo. I will tell you what has been the biggest pain in the butt, though. I'm working on getting some new AI art for the new APFL teams. I think I've created pretty close to 700 images now for the Griffin for AI, and I cannot get one that matches the essence of what we've done with your logo now, and it irritates the crap out of me to no end.
And I'm going to show you something. You were kind of being a bad influence over there.
Yeah. What do you got? Is that Crown?
Yeah.
Yeah. We can't tell anybody that we're drinking on here. We might get cut off. I don't know.
I got my root beer from Taco Bell.
Oh, okay. Show that. All right. It says G says he needs to put that jersey in the closet for next year. I was rooting for him too. Yeah, I absolutely was rooting.
The thing I'll tell you right now is that 2 of our coordinators had their foot out the door and didn't give a rat's ass about that game.
Yeah, you probably have a little bit of truth there, but I will say this: Washington dominated that game. They really did, and it made.
Well, I mean, what do you expect when we had double-digit players out on defense and our top defensive player?
Yeah, makes it rough.
I guess there's a push to not allow coordinators to talk to teams until after their season's completely over.
They shouldn't be talking to anybody until after the Super Bowl.
Exactly, I agree with that 1,000,000%.
I don't care if you're in the playoffs or your season's done after week 18. You shouldn't be talking to coordinators. Shouldn't be talking until after the Super Bowl.
Agree with that 100%. All right, so let's get back to the task at hand. I got the LA Bighorns right here. They are a team that was already in the NFC, but they are participating in the dispersal. We got the Carolina Power Claws, also another team that was already in the NFC, wants to participate in the dispersal. And then we have our 2 new general managers. I can't say exactly new for Minnesota because this is the Cleveland Canines general manager moving over to the Minnesota franchise and renaming them the Skull. The reason we allowed that this year is we introduced a new thing in the AFL called the Coach's Carousel, and Cleveland took advantage of that, and they have moved over to the Minnesota franchise. And then Hanley, we've got yours. There's the Philadelphia Griffins. We're going to fold them up and put them in the hat. So just like we did with the AFC, the first thing that we're going to end up doing is shaking the hat, pulling the first team out. We're going to roll a single 4-sided die. Let me get that set up on the screen so we know that it's only one. And then we're going to put that team on the board. The good thing about having 4 teams is any of the roles that have a D4 associated with it, which should be almost all of them, actually is with 4 teams now. So there will be a little bit more action on this. We're going to put the power clause on the board first with whatever this role is on the D4. That is the number 1 spot. Ricky, I don't know if you're out there watching right now or not, but you are currently getting ready to go into the number 1 spot. And then we roll the action dice. Action dice says 7, which means we're going to roll into an open position as filled. We got to get another team out of the hat, and then we will roll a 4-sided die until we get a 2, 3, or 4, and that team will go into that spot. I have the Minnesota Skull going on the board right now. They are going to go into the number 3 spot. So Minnesota going up on the board come on, Minnesota. Oh,
They don't want to go out of that.
I didn't really have them locked before, and then I locked them before I tried to move them. That doesn't work very well. So we got Carolina and Minnesota. That is not the right Minnesota logo. I apologize to the Skull. I have no idea why that logo is still there. We got the Griffins logo in there, though, right? I'm not sure why that one is not there. I apologize to Eric and that not being the right logo for you. I'm not sure how that
That's what you get with computers.
Nah, it's got to be a naming convention that I got wrong. I thought I overrode the original one, but apparently I didn't. I think yours is right, but Minnesota's not. So 7, we're going to put another team on the board. We've got the LA Bighorns and the Philadelphia Griffins in the hat. They are either going to go in number 2 or number 4. We will continue to roll a 4-sided die until one of those 2 numbers come up. LA's going on the board. So Hanley, you're going to be the last one of the hat unless we pull somebody off the board. But we have to put LA on the board in either 2 or 4. We have to keep rolling until we get a 2 or a 4. So it's 1 and 3 are already filled. So LA is going into the number 4 spot. Let's get them, or the number 2 spot. I apologize. Let me move them over to the 2 spot. If we get one of those ones that just pops up and says we put a team on the board, Hanley, we're going to pull you out and put you in the 4th spot. Remember, though, that we still have the final roll to go. There is the number 7, which means we roll and put it till we put a team on the board. We pull the Griffins out of the hat. Did I get your logo right here on the screen? I did. How did I mess up Minnesota's? Oh, that irritates me. All right, Griffins, you're in the number 4 spot. Again, we have to roll one more set of action dice. Something can happen. We need something to happen to this board.
Snake Eye.
Maybe not Snake Eyes. I'm okay with that, though. I think we did end up having, because we did 7 regions last year for the redraft, I think we had 2 regions that did not have a Snake Eyes, and it was the first time ever that had happened. All right, let's roll these action dice. Action dice says number 7. That does not count because that means we're just filling a position. So we're going to re-roll again. The re-roll says 5, which is the same thing as 7. Roll until a position opens up. We are rolling again. Another number 5. It's like they don't want this to end for us tonight. Number 6 means we're going to swap positions with 2D4. That means 2 of you are going to move around unless it's a duplicate number. If it's not a duplicate number, those 2 teams will swap. That will be our final order. If it's a duplicate number, we will re-roll the action dice. Of course it is. 2 of the same number. That means we're re-rolling the action dice. The odds gods do not want this to end. Number 3 means we're going to pull a team from the board. So we roll 1 4-sided die. Whatever number we come up with, 1, 2, 3, or 4, is getting pulled off of the board, and we re-roll the action dice immediately after that. So 3's coming off the board. So Minnesota, you know what? Maybe that's the issue. Maybe Minnesota, the other one that I had, is hidden back there in the background because I just saw something move. I don't know what it was. Let me close out all of the AFC ones, make sure I'm not moving those around. So Minnesota is off the board. Minnesota is going back in the hat. The only reason I'm making sure they go back in the hat is in case we pull another team from the board, then there will be 2 in the hat. Roll some action dice. Action dice say 7, which means we're going to put a team back on the board. Guess who goes right back into the number 3 spot?
Skip that one.
Let's get that. Well, now we got action dice, so something's got to happen. So let's see what happens. We got a number 9, which means we're going to swap with 2D4. So unless we get 2 of the same number again, 2 teams are moving. 2 teams that are moving are 1 and 2. So Carolina is moving down to the number 2 spot. LA is moving up to the number 1 spot. Hanley, unfortunately, you are still in the 4 spot, but that's not so bad because we do the dispersal drafts in snake order. Now, remember, Chris, can you do me a favor and do that one as well? Let me know when it's good if you're still out there. Let me get those red lines off of there for you. Hopefully I didn't have the red lines on the other one. Remember, it is a snake draft, and it's not just players that are involved in this. You are able to swap draft picks as well, or draft picks. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate you. I'm going to get all of that off the screen and get this window back over here where it feels like I'm looking at you all. Let's do no more shared. And we got these handsome fellas on air with me tonight. Hey, Jay. Hey, Hanley. How are you?
They don't want for a tumble.
Oh, no. All right. So included in the players in the dispersal draft are your draft picks as well. Matt just wanted to come in all the way at the end after it was all done. There's another handsome fella right there. How are you, sir?
I'm good. What's going on?
Hey, man, if you're charging me 25%, I'm letting you go. So, Hanley, I think you were already aware of that, but for the listening population that might still be out there, the 8 of you that are still out there, you are able to, when we get ready to do the dispersal draft itself, we will have a list of the players by position, and then we will also have all of the draft picks on there as well. You can pick a draft pick just like you can a player. All right. Chris says 25% of nothing is nothing. This is true. So just so you're aware of that, we still need to get the general managers to all come together to figure out when your guys' dispersal drafts are going to go. I didn't want to open them up until next Wednesday anyway, so it's a good thing that we got the draft order shows done tonight. I will start beating you all up tomorrow before I got to do the scoring for Akins for game 2. By the way, the Pacers won tonight 18-3. Pretty awesome game. We had one guy go 5 for 5, set a school record for number of hits in a game, 2 singles, 2 doubles, and a home run. On the second double that he got was in the bottom of the 8th. He hit it good enough to the wall that if he had a little bit more speed, we might have been able to send him for a triple and have him hit for the cycle, which would have been cool. Last time the player hit for a cycle at Aiken, we think was 2017 or something like that. So it's been a while.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at Chris in the chat.
Yeah. Has he got more? I missed it. Oh yeah. Can I trade my 108 for a dispersal pick? No, you cannot.
Yeah, for $1.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to do that anyways. All right, so there's our draft orders for both the AFC and the NFC. Chris, thank you for posting them over in the Discord for me. I got 2 more things that I want to put out to you all. I still need 2 more people for the APBL, which is our baseball league. I'm going to probably cut that off on Monday as far as hunting for players, and we'll just move forward with 14 instead of 16. That plays around with the divisions a little bit. I don't know what that's going to look like yet, but we basically are only giving ourselves a month to get ready. Because of my baseball schedule at Aiken through the first 5 weeks, if we're going to do the draft in the APBL, it's either going to be like the first day of March, or we're going to have to find a day in the middle of the week all the way up until I think it's 17 March, because Major League opens the season in Japan just like they did last year. There will be games on the 18th and 19th, and then there will be a long break before they actually break into the rest of the teams for the regular season. Jay, do you remember what the date was? I feel like it's the 25th.
Yeah, I was thinking 25th or somewhere in there. 25th, 26th, 27th, somewhere in there.
Somewhere around there. So what we'll do is our first week of the season in APBL will be super long, just like it normally is during the All-Star week as well. Even though it's long, there are days that nothing's going on, but we'll still have 2 additional games that will be played that week. If we got to go with 14, we will. We'll just make adjustments. But if you know of anybody, and I'm talking to the choir because all three of you are playing in the APPL, so I can't ask you guys to do it. But if you guys know another guy or gal that would like to play, let me know. We got 2 spots open. And then the last thing to put out for the night is Chris says he just wants to join the dispersal now. I'll kick you in your shins if you tell me now after we did all that you want to be a part of it. No, you cannot do it. Yours is still up there. Oh, it's because it's part of your name. Never mind. It's in the same spot that you normally would have your chat bubble up. So it looks like it still says I'm charging 25% on my screen. Never mind, though. The last thing I wanted to put out, APFL members, get your dues paid, especially the 7 people that we had that were involved in the dispersal draft tonight. You guys, you're done. You were our last one that just got signed up. We have 18 out of the 32, so we still have 14 more that need to do it, the guys that were part of the dispersal tonight. So Cincinnati, Cleveland, New England, Philadelphia, LA, Carolina, and who am I missing?
Philadelphia paid.
In Minnesota, we got to get you guys. You in Minnesota, I think, are the only 2 that are paid since Eric switched over from Cleveland to Minnesota. You 2 guys are paid, but we got to. And actually, Jonathan was number 17. You were number 18. So we have 3 out of the 6 of you, 3 out of the 7 of you that need to get paid in, already paid in. That's it. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed it. What are we looking at time-wise? 45 minutes. That's not bad for having 2 smaller size selection shows.
That was pretty good.
It's pretty good, and we even had 1 snake eyes in there, so it wasn't all that bad. Matt, your idea that you've been talking to me about for about 2 or 3 years with the food thing. After today's happening, I'm going to make a couple phone calls sometime this weekend or on Monday through whatever, since I'm not working during the day anymore. I think your idea is going to finally come if I can convince them to do it with me. I think you're finally going to get at least one of them when it comes to the food one. So that'd be awesome.
Holy cow.
Yeah, it's only how long have you been preaching it to me? At least 3 years.
Hon, it's finally happening.
It's been a long time. All right, guys, I appreciate the 3 of you being on with me tonight. Henley, start doing your homework coming from the number 4 spot. At least you got the churn pick. That's good. We'll get off of here for the night. Chris, thank you again for posting it over for me in the Discord, and we'll start hunting you all down to figure out when we're going to do the drafts for you guys. The drafts will all be on a Wednesday night for the 2 AFC, NFC. You guys just have to pick a Wednesday night to do it because I can't do it on a weekend because of my commitment with Aiken right now. I would rather do it live on a Wednesday where everybody's used to seeing us than not getting the 7 people that are watching us right now on a Saturday or a Sunday. So you all have a great night. Again, thank you guys for joining. Stick around. I'm going to end the stream, then I'll just say hey to you guys. You all have a great night.